Good evening, good evening, good evening, everybody. Welcome to the Good Servant Show where we worship the Lord Jesus Christ. Thank God for God. That's what I say. Oh, wow. I'm feeling pretty happy, yeah. I'm excited about today. We get to have Lareva back on, and it was a pretty big success last time, and so I'm excited about that. So whenever you want to go ahead and click the link, Lareva, that's fine with me. And man, it's just been I would say I didn't have a very productive day today, but like I had a pretty good day as far as getting myself together, getting my time with God back, getting my rest back, getting um it's kind of hard to manage your time when you spend like pretty much 100% of your time by yourself all the time, and then you start sharing your house with somebody, and it you don't think of these things because like especially like if it's my kid, right? So I enjoy having him here, so you I don't think of that as like a chore, right? I just think of that as something great, like that he's here to visit. But these things need to get worked back in, right? My time with God comes first. And so um uh not that I ever thought that it didn't, right? It's just the actual action of it, right? Like it has to come first. And so I'm learning so much, right? I wish we would have had a chance to learn all this stuff way, 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 before now, and woulda, coulda, shoulda. And I think I forget who it was, but someone said, you shouldn't should on yourself. Me like thinking about what you should have done. And I thought that was a kind of a cute way to say it, right? Don't should on yourself. That's funny. But anyway, I will invite Lareva onto the show. She's backstage. Hello, Lareva. Welcome to the show. How are you doing today? I think you're on mute.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
All right. I'm pretty tired, but I'm pretty good.
I think we have like a little delay. Hold on a second. Let me go ahead and fix our little delay first.
My connection might be a little short.
It's okay. It's good now. So tell me, yes, absolutely, yes. So, last time, we kind of got into, kind of like, going through some tough times and getting over certain, really being an overcomer of our circumstances. And, we started to get into like, you know, you getting into starting your relationship with Jesus, and how we just got to that point, and then I think you were having problems after that. So problems connecting after
that. Yeah. Problem was a text came in, and I'm not sure if I was trying to respond or swipe it up, but I was like, get out of here. It
no
actually took me into that app, so it took me out of here.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I get it. Yeah. No big deal, though. No big deal. It happens.
Yeah. Well, it was unfortunate that it happened. I wish it didn't happen, but it did. But now we have to.
I think everybody I think everybody enjoyed your conversation. I think it went well. What are the things you feel like you want to talk about tonight?
Well, continue off of where we got cut off, I guess.
So like what So if we want to go back to that, right? Like, what truth topics, right, did you first start to come into, like, to like investigate, uh, right before you started getting back into the word?
Right before my jaw hit the floor,
Yeah,
going,
yeah.
whoa, like, and my head started exploding off my shoulders.
That's what I want to hear about.
Okay, well, that was probably about, I'd have to say, around 2016. I was hitting probably the worst bottom that I've ever been through. Like I've said before, I was on the verge of homicide. Um,
Oh no, she fell off. Oh no. It's okay. We're gonna wait for her to rejoin. Sorry, Lareva. It's okay. Just try to rejoin as soon as you can. Hey, Holly, how you doing? Oh, don't worry. We all have days, right? We're all human beings, right? And so, hey, Tim, welcome. I'm glad you're here. Yes, you were hunting. You were you were hunting Lareva tonight. You found her, so hopefully she'll be clicking back on. And it's unfortunate, right, that every time, you know, on YouTube we start talking about Jesus, and we end up with all these technical problems, right? And it never fails, right? I mean, it's like constantly, and we turn on these streams that are like in the trending section that are just vile. I mean, like people doing drugs, talking about like, sexual content, crazy stuff, right? And their streams go like 24 hours and it's all perfect, right? And it's just unbelievable, right? The day and age that we're in, it's not even hidden, right? It's not even hidden, what they're trying to do, right? They admit that flat Earth is being censored. They admit that all the Hollywood agenda is right, and symbolism is being conspiracies are being censored. And they admit that this over sexualization is okay. I mean, this is not even a hidden thing that they're denying, and there's plenty of evidence for all this stuff. And I'm just telling you, getting into it more and more, and really understanding just how much. Oh, 9 hours last night. That's great. That's great, Tim. Yes, and it's wonderful, right? When we all find each other. This is what I will say, Tim, is when a lot of us find each other that are awake, and we love God, right? And we're truthers, truther Christians. We run into each other, and it's like things to say to each other. It's almost like we're family, like we knew each other before for a long time. Hey, Debbie, how are you doing? Welcome. And yeah, it is good fellowship, but even more than that, if it feels like we knew each other before, right? And like almost like we're family. And I think that is what it is. And it's just amazing to me that we were able to find each other. And one thing that I kind of one thing that we have in common is that I think it seems to me, right, that a lot of us woke up kind of between 2015 and 2017, and I'm kind of a late bloomer when it comes to that time frame. Some people woke up before, but it seems like that was a time frame where a lot of us really woke up. And and you wonder, right, if like this is just God's plan, right? Because how how could we all be in these different states, in these different areas and different countries even, and all be awake at the same time, or all get the urge to, "Oh, I want to check out a conspiracy," or like what makes us think that way, all at the same time as if we were connected. I think that God woke us up, and I think that it's just it's just an amazing phenomenon, right? That number one, we're not alone. Number two, we're not the only people that um, we're not the only people that felt like we didn't fit somehow, or that we don't belong here, or that we there's something else for us. And the idea that we can help other people to get to that point too is incredibly hopeful, right? So it's not like just finding out that maybe we're different and that we're going somewhere with God. That's one level of greatness, right? But then to know that we can maybe talk to our loved ones, right? And talk to our friends and hopefully get them close, right? Close to what they need to go to the next place with us, right? And Tim says, "Good servant, I think we want to look deeper because doing the right thing is too simple for all the evil chaos in the world. We know something's not right." Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's like it's just weird, right? People react different to, I mean, it's weird. It's almost like there's no empathy anymore. And when somebody is in a when somebody's talking to you or somebody's interacting with you, it's like they don't feel if they've hurt your feelings, or if they only feel their feelings and not yours. I'll put it that way. And then when I talk to somebody, I feel their feelings and my feelings. So if I said something to hurt somebody's feelings, I feel that. "Oh, Lareva, you're back. Yay." Yes, you fell off a little bit. Yeah, you fell off of the panel. You could come back on anytime you want. Yes, unless you're, I'll leave that up to you. But yeah. Oh, it cut out. It cut out right at the beginning. It was like right at the beginning when you said, "As soon as my jaw hit the floor and my head exploded," and I was like, "Wow, this is gonna be good," And then it went quiet. Then you fell off, and I don't know how long you went after that, but uh, you know. Oh yeah, you're back there. All right, all right. Hello, welcome back. I'm glad you're here.
Oh, good grief, man. I'm over here jaw flapping, yada, yada, yada.
Well, we love
Yeah,
to hear it. That's for sure.
I had to get close to the router again because I had a really weak connection where I was.
Yeah, I understand completely. So you were just
Now
telling
I
us
have
about
full
how your
connection.
jaw hit the floor and your head was about to explode.
Well, yeah. I found an online ministry that about 2016 that really just it put all the puzzle pieces together for me and all the questions that I ever had as a child. That I never got a straight answer from my elders because they were all Seventh Day Adventist, and if you don't believe what they believe, then you're going to hell because you're the devil. I
So
mean,
I'm
that's
not
really
real.
the outlook that I was raised with.
So I'm not too familiar with what their doctrine is. I know, of course, that they believe the Sabbath is on a Saturday. But is there other things that
They have a
separate?
tendency to more worship it than, in my opinion. They put it a little higher. Like if you don't worship it, or if you don't exalt it, like I don't know, they make it a little bit more of a bigger deal than, I mean, it's a commandment.
Yeah,
It's a commandment, something along with 9 others,
yeah.
and they kind of put it on a pedestal a little over a lot of things that we should be a little more focused on, like Genesis 6, for example, which they don't talk about.
It's hard to find a church that will even talk. Like, it's hard to find any church that will talk about it. And
Huh.
I had no idea what that even was until just recently, right? Because like, I've never heard it explained, and it just was like, oh, it's just kind of a weird little chapter in the whole Bible. Like, it's not like anywhere else. Like, um, but finding out about Genesis 6 was like a huge thing, you know? Like,
It was, and it took me like 30 years to get that figured out. And I will say this: thank you, John Pounders, and thank you, David Carrico, for that
yeah,
tidbit of information that connected those dots for me. Because when I first heard them talking about that, I'm like going, "Oh my wow, here we go. This is the answer. I've been okay." And then I was given direction where to go find that and read it further. So now I'm on a mission for my actual physical book of Enoch, but I can't do the online reading thing.
okay, so you want to
It,
actually find a
I
book of
want the physical
Enoch one.
paper and
Yeah,
spine, back book, real book, physical book.
yeah.
Remember those?
Yeah, I know, huh?
Remember
Well,
libraries?
there's a good audio version of it on uh Flat Water, Flat Earth.
Oh
But
well, I do have it on my playlist, but I'd rather have it next to my Bible on my shelf,
yeah,
so
right.
and along with Strong's, and
But
so.
what are some of the things that it helped you understand when you were able to reconcile that there was fallen angels that came during Genesis 6?
Well, see, I always knew that there were fallen angels come down. We always, the Seventh Day Adventists do talk about that. Yet they don't tell the story right. Plain and simple, they don't tell it right. They leave stuff out, and then they'll seem to add things to it. It's like I still had a hard time understanding it the way they were saying it, but I'm in a whole new relearning process now, and trying to learn things outside of their lens, taking scripture for what it actually says and not for what they say it is, or what Ellen White says it is, or for
Yeah.
what White says she was taken by her spirit guide. That right there is a red flag.
Right, right, yeah.
She had a spirit guide.
But we
Okay.
don't know that, right, until we find out, right? That's the crazy part of it.
She did talk about having a spirit guide.
Yeah.
And the first thing that reminds me of is, Joseph Smith. Is the same scenario.
Right.
I
Same
mean, that's
story.
just what I put together. That's what I connected.
Well, I think, right,
So I actually got rid of all of my Ellen White books.
well, I think that like the devil knew that there was going to be a big section of people that were still going to be Christians. So inventing all these
Well, yeah, that's why he was trying to kill me
different,
off from the beginning.
right, right, all these different wayward versions of Christianity to kind of further deceive everybody, right? Um, you end up with the JWs and the Mormons and the, like you say, the Seventh Day Adventists, the Catholics, right? It's like all these
See, yeah,
different,
and the Seventh Day Adventist and the Jehovah's Witness, they were together in the same group in the same Millerite movement, but yet they had a disagreement, so they branched off and created the Kingdom Hall, and then they're, the Seventh Day Adventist Church. So, that's what two
yeah,
branches, two denominations branched out of one movement. That
so crazy.
1844, that everybody sell your everything, and we're gonna go get raptured. They thought it was coming in 1844.
Wow.
So they prepared for it and they got ready for it. And then after that didn't happen, they had a squabble and they disagreed. And you go
So
here,
like
I'm going here.
right.
You
So
know,
what are some of the things that you felt like you had to relearn, right, coming out of there, right? Did you just start over
Revelations
completely?
for one, because they make the Pope the Antichrist, which I'm leaning him more towards the false prophet these
Right.
days. That actually makes more sense. Okay. And
Yeah,
the
I agree with that.
my Aunt Joy used to tell me about how they were going to implant us all. We're all going to be chipped by the year 2000. I swear she wanted to die before that happened. In my opinion, she willed herself to get cancer and die in 1999. So my Aunt Joy, the more you guys get to know me, you'll understand my Aunt Joy was a very important part of my life.
Yeah.
I was named after her, and she never got to have kids because she had a hysterectomy when she was 18, and it was due to a tubal pregnancy. But I'm starting to wonder if she hadn't been part of a breeding program, because she was always talking about how they would come and visit her still. And we always see that's what actually prompted me and my mom to actually see Genesis 6 the first time, because my mom we were talking about my Aunt Joy and this alien visitation thing that my aunt claimed to have, and we just chalked her off as crazy. But my mom got to, well, there's something in the Bible about, let me see. So she gets to look in and she reads Genesis 6. And when she read that, it kind of freaked her out. And she goes, whoa. And she slapped it closed and slapped it on the table, going, were they saying aliens? I mean, she was trying to put it together. Mind you, this was like 30 years ago, just a little over 30 years ago. So I didn't even, I've been trying to figure this out ever since then. So I didn't know until after hearing studies and learning to read, or finding out that, the book of Enoch is actually valid. The first book of Enoch being valid. Now I can learn that. My
I
mom
always
doesn't even know. She's
I
scared. She's like, I've heard enough.
yeah.
She
I
put her
was
hand up and said, I've heard enough now.
right. Like it was almost too much for her to get all at once, right?
It is. It is. It's way too much. But I'm still trying to put all these pieces together. Finding out that I was a little fighter for God as a child, man. There's somebody that's called me the jelly shoe demon slayer.
Yeah.
I'm trekking demons in my jelly shoes when I'm 7 years old, man. Let's go. We've got Jesus.
Oh wow. You brought
And
back some
that's a
memories with
story. That's a really
that.
good story.
Yeah. You brought back some memories with those little shoes.
Oh, I had several pairs.
Yeah.
Till I finally got tired of it. You know what? These are always breaking 2 days after I get them. So I think
Right,
this is
right.
pair.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I grew I
I
grew
finally quit having to have them.
I grew up in the hood. Every girl had jelly shoes, you know.
Yeah, I lived in the hood till I was 10. Then we moved out to the sticks, and that's where peace comes.
There you go.
I
There
love it
you
out here
go.
now. I don't want to be anywhere else but in the mountains.
Yeah, and so it's hard to know where to start, right? And I guess when I got to the Book of Enoch, it was right after Flat Earth, obviously, you know, and then it's like, wow, I better figure out like exactly to to try to figure out all these stories that you hear and then take outer space out of it, right? And that's like you're like, well, what about all these stories? You're like, well, I got to figure out like how is it how are these other things possible, and you know, just to make your mind feel right, you know. And so the Book of Enoch really did like solve a lot of things, right, for me. And I always viewed it as like it the book is true because it's quoted in the Bible, and I have a hard time uh believing that the Bible would quote it if it's not true. Um, I just
Exactly.
I just never gave it like moral authority over my life as canon, right? Like, but like it's still a true story to me. I mean, until I
Yeah.
learn otherwise, you know.
So yeah, see, if it didn't say what it says in Jude, then I probably wouldn't hold much
Exactly. In
validity to
Jude,
the Book of Enoch
yes,
myself.
because in Jude it brings all three things together, right? The
Yeah,
garden,
and there's also
Sodom and
another.
Gomorrah. Right,
When
right.
it
Yeah,
describes earlier in the book, I can't remember where exactly it's at, but when they describe Enoch himself being seventh from Adam, is that in Genesis or
yeah, I think so. And then he gets raptured. Enoch got raptured.
when he was taken up?
Yeah.
Yeah, that part. I can't remember where that part is, but if those two parts were not in there, I mean that tells me that the Book of Enoch is very valid.
Yeah, it's so
But it is
interesting.
scary, man, when you get to delving into all those details. Gets a little frightening.
It is like if you're not ready for it, right? Like I mean, like if and it's hard to be ready for it, you know, because we're taught that we're flying around outer space and we come from a monkey and everything happens naturally. There,
Yeah, that,
then
and
it's
we're also taught not to be messing around with demons.
right, yeah,
So,
true,
so we're also taught that to learn about them, to be able to discern them, is also bad because it make you susceptible. But what we then forget is that we have to put on our armor. We have to make sure that we're covered in the blood of Christ before we can even go there, or we will be attacked. See, there's always something that we always forget about these things. You know, oh, don't do this, don't do that. But we can do anything we need to do if we only have God with us.
yeah.
Plain and simple.
It's so hard to like learn where all these like where to start and because like I went from knowing not that much to knowing nothing. And then it's like, okay, well, start over again. I'll just read things the way it says and just believe it. But then there's like, you get everyone has a different view of what that says or what that means, and you wonder where they
Yes.
learned it from, or
And that's
it's
when
just
we need to shut all those people out and just say, okay, God, okay, Father, you tell me what this says.
exactly.
You explain this to me. I'll
That
do
is
my
so
best to
great.
listen.
That is so great because like it took me a while to even I kept trying to make my own definition for things like someone would ask me, well, what's your belief on salvation, or what's your belief on this or that, right? And I would try to like form it, but it would always make somebody upset, right? And you can't make everyone happy anyway, right? And the truth is the truth. But
Right.
but the fact that like we don't have to have our own definition of it, it's already written the way it says, and we can go straight to God for guidance, right? And no one should be coming to me for their definition anyway, and it's
Right. We
like
should go directly to God.
right, but it took me all that time to learn that, I had to learn the hard way, that
Oh,
um
I did too, man.
yeah, all those bumps and bruises, but some of it was like um I think some of that hard learning was good, like just it revealed things at a pace that I could understand it, because it was a lot of things were flooding into my brain, right? As soon as
Yeah.
Flat Earth and Hollywood and symbolism, you're like, wow, it's like the Tower of Babel is happening.
Yeah.
Like, they all want to come back
And once
together
you,
again. It's one big conspiracy.
yeah, and once you start seeing it, you can't unsee it. You just start seeing more and more and more. And it's like everything you see, you realize that the whole world is consumed with it.
Yeah, exactly.
And then you start
Well,
realizing how separate you are from it.
yes, we're it's like, okay, so this is what's crazy, right? Being separate from the world, it kind of feels like it's a movie, right? And we're like outside of it now, watching it.
Yeah.
Whereas I remember being in there, like
Me
believing all
too.
that stuff, but it's like now it's like that would be absurd to believe the stuff they told us when we were kids, right? Like, how did I ever believe that? Like when you pop out, you can't go back in. That's it. You can never unsee what you learned.
Well, I don't regret anything that I ever learned. I regret the pain that I went through going, to learn it. But now I understand it. And I can come to terms with it a little better now. Actually, I should say a lot better now because I was really holding on to some nasty bitterness, and it was getting really ugly. So I was almost a goner.
Yeah.
So he's got his timing, and see, I even a year ago I never would have expected me doing this right now that I'm doing. I've been like, "Now, what kind of crack are you smoking, buddy? You must be a crackhead. I ain't gonna be doing that." But here I am.
And I think that God puts us exactly where we need to be. And
Are you
like
getting a lot of wind feedback? Because I'm in that wind tunnel again.
a little bit, I am. I mean, a little bit, not that much for me. I don't know about the crowd. Let me see it.
It's
Does anybody
super
hear any
windy.
wind down there? And Tim even said in Jude, it even said that Enoch testified to all those things, right?
Yeah,
So that's important. I think that's an important part of it.
it is.
I mean, just everything is just like so amazing. Like I wanted God to be true, right? But there was so many things that needed to be reconciled in my head about like creation and things being formed and naturally. If you told me I lived in a snow globe, I would have been like, "What? You are crazy!" Like that's impossible, right? But now, like the idea of the Earth like exploding out of nowhere is impossible now. It's
That
just
just
the
seems like
amount of
some kind
uncertainty, right?
of. I just roll my eyes every time I hear that kind of thing. I'm like, oh,
I know, and people believe it. I mean, oh, it's just a mess, right? That nothing heated up and somehow exploded and became everything.
so against everything I ever knew.
Wow, it's just
See,
crazy.
I was taught to believe in creation. God created the heaven and the earth
That's
and
good. At least
everything.
you're there, right? To start out with.
Yeah. So I don't know, but
Yeah.
he's still teaching me and he's still guiding me and he's showing me a lot more now. Especially now that I'm doing more to obey his word. I'm trying the best that I can, but
Yeah.
I've been a little rebel.
Yeah, it's hard to believe like from where I started out like to where I am now, like there is a separation where like I don't even think people from before like my, late 30s would even recognize me. I don't even think they'd recognize me now, just like I don't think the people now would recognize me then. Almost like a new creature, a whole new animal, right?
Yeah. Well, but see, I've heard people saying that before. Once they've changed and they've become, like more whole in Christ, that people have no idea who they are. They're like, "Who? Hey, you look familiar, but you know,
Right.
do I know you?"
But it's true, right? Because like okay, it's like when we're still in the world, right? It's like even if we're not trying, even if we're really genuine people, it's like you're one way at work, you're one way with your family, you're one way with your kids, right? And it's you do have different roles, right? But like when you pop out of the world, right, and you're able to be just real all the time, and it's like wow, like what do I like? Like, do I really like to go dancing, or did I just like the people I was with and said I liked it, or do I really like macaroni and cheese? Like like it's hard to know, like you're like, who am I? Like it does get to where you got to kind of get to know yourself a little bit. Like, what's my purpose now? Because God made me for a reason. It
That's what I've been asking him lately. What is my purpose? Why am I here? Why didn't you just let me die? Why do you
uh,
insist I be here? Why do you insist I be here on Earth and go through all this crap? And why do all these other people got to go through this crap?
it's a little,
You
yeah,
know,
it's wacky.
why can't the crap just go away and we just?
Yeah,
But now I'm understanding why I had to go through it all. I didn't
yeah.
know what I'm thinking about for one. You can't, you don't know anything really unless you've been through it. You've experienced things, and you can't really. Oh gosh, how do I say it? All that old cliche saying, you got to go through hell to get to heaven or something like that.
Yeah.
I don't really like it. I'm sure there's better words to describe that.
Well, it's almost like,
That's the
like
quickest way.
in order to have like a free choice to make our own decision, it's such a high cost for that, right?
I
Is
used
that
to
there's
think
going to
I
be
had
people
free
doing some
choice.
crummy things, right?
Yeah, I used to
And
think that I had free choice, but I realized that I didn't because if people would do certain things and those things would trigger me, do I really have control? Do I really have choice over myself? Well, obviously I don't because I don't have any control over my emotions.
I think in my opinion, right, I think we do a little bit, right? I think that there are things that like naturally trigger us based on our like experiences that we have, right? And I get that. It feels out of control. But I think it's more like wild animals, right? Like it seems out of control, but you can kind of tame it. You can kind of tame it like with like you know what I mean, like with God's help. And
Yeah, but
maybe
see,
like
I could not do that on my own. Yeah,
it's
I had
hard.
it took God to help
Yeah.
because I couldn't do that on my own, and
Yeah.
I was trying to. It
Yeah,
wasn't working.
it seems impossible. It seems too big, right?
It was impossible. It didn't work.
Yeah.
It took me falling to my knees and just giving it to him, all of it.
Yeah.
And that was the first time I ever actually felt that shalom, and it felt like this peaceful, big, huge, like kind of like a winged arm, I guess you could say, because that's how it felt coming around me, and then another hand coming around and just wiping my eyes.
Oh, that was your moment right there.
It was like, and then it's like this calm came over me, and the tears stopped. They just okay. The dam was built back up. We stopped running, and I felt calm, and I felt like I felt these words. Everything will be okay. And ever since then, it was harder to kind of sway me when certain people try to use their manipulation tactics on me.
Sure.
Freaks
Yeah.
them out. They don't know how to take it because it used to work.
Yeah, it's like they're used to getting that reaction out of you, that it drives
Yeah,
them
it's not
almost,
working anymore. It ain't
Yeah.
working anymore.
What always got to me is that like why so many people get like some kind of joy out of like making other people miserable. And I never understood that part, right? Because I couldn't imagine
I
being like that. I'm like, are they
understood.
the same as me? Like,
No, they're not. They're not because no, they're not. Okay, because the way I understand this is that certain people walk around with certain things attached to them and in them. They don't even know it. There are generational curses, and these entities do follow. And these are
yeah,
things I'm battling too right now on both my side of my family and my children's side of their family. I mean, that's a whole nother topic right there. That right there. But I do believe people walk around with spirits inside them,
yeah, me
and we
too.
often see them. And a lot of times those are what we're dealing with when we're dealing with those people. It's not the person themselves, because they're probably pushed so far down in there that they're not even there.
It's such a confusing thing, isn't it? Like, if we
To
weren't
me,
just like,
I don't really find it all that confusing though, because when you witness these things,
yeah,
it's like you can't unsee it once you've seen it happen. I mean, we've been watching generational curses being passed down on my family for forever, and nobody even looks at what it is, except for maybe me and my mom. We'll talk about what it is.
yeah.
Nobody else will. We don't talk about those things.
But isn't it weird though? Like, don't you think that I always thought that a person would want to know like the truth if they could learn it. Like, don't you guys care about learning the truth? Like, it's like
But that's just
what?
it. They're so full of these entities that it doesn't even occur to them. I mean, they have to hit some really far bottom and really want it to change, and then hit their knees the way, a lot of people do, and say, please, Father, help. And, take this. And what have I got to do? Use me and fill me and change me and transform me. You go through all of that. That's what makes the change. That's when people start waking up.
Yeah.
I mean,
Like,
that's the way I've been walking around seeing things happen in my existence.
it kind of makes it real to people that, wow, I need someone to save me. I need someone to save me out of here. And
Seeing
that's,
a lot of people feel that way, and they get discouraged and they get disillusioned because they feel like they were trying to find God and God turned them away. Well, God wasn't there to begin with.
right.
And that's what people don't want to understand, is that why isn't God there? So if that's where he's supposed to be, it's the church, isn't it?
I know. And the
But
churches, they
now that
just,
we know what we know
yeah.
about churches, it's like we have to take that into consideration and use our discernment.
Debbie
You know,
says, well, Debbie says, Lareva, what do you struggle with in life?
what don't I struggle with? That's the question.
Oh,
What do I not struggle with? I've struggled with many things in my life. I've been struggling a lot of depression, anxiety. Um, I feel like Satan's used that as a tool against me big time. Which I still really struggle with it. But I struggle with, right now, I'm struggling to quit smoking tobacco because I am sick to absolute death of it. It stinks and I'm sick. I can't afford it and it stinks and I'm sick. Oh, I'm just yucky caca nene. That's not about it anymore. But yet,
yeah.
I'm starting to have that anxious feeling. It's like the first thing I do is grab a cigarette.
Yeah. That's how I was when I smoked. The first thing I did when I woke up,
Yep.
you know.
Not so easy when you got 4 little children that are always fighting and arguing and running around and being loud. It's like, ugh. I don't think I'm ever going to quit smoking at this point. But dang, I mean, packs around here are over $10 a pack. It's ridiculous.
That's crazy, isn't
That's
it?
a lot of food.
I
That's
know
a
it.
couple
It's
pairs of shoes.
well, what's crazy is I've seen cigarettes, and so when I quit smoking, it was like $3 a pack for Marlboros or whatever, 3.20. And now I saw a pack of generics for 13 something, like
Yeah.
in California.
See,
I'm
I
in
used to get
California
it.
though. Yeah,
Yeah. Well, yeah. I used
so
to get a
crazy.
cheap pack for just over $3 in Idaho before I came back home to Oregon, and that was like 3 years ago this month.
Yeah.
And they were $3 or something there, but now they're $10 here. That
Uh,
same pack I got for $3.
it's $100 for 10 packs of cigarettes. It's just insane.
Yeah, when I pick up my dad's carton, it's 95, 98, somewhere around there.
Because I remember when I first started smoking, I think generics were $1.40 for GPC, and then
Yeah.
$1.65 for Marlboros.
Yes, we used to be able to pick up a pack at a gas station here for like 89 cents. I kid you not.
Wow.
89 cents. But they were like the worst kind, you know, the sweep up stuff that they pick up off the
Yeah.
floor.
Yeah. Doral. Remember that brand, Dorals or
Yes, I
something?
remember that one too.
Yeah.
That was
Horrible.
really sick. And
Debbie
yeah,
says that Debbie says she used to pick up wait, she goes, I used to pick up my mom's cigs when I was 8 for 38 cents a pack.
38 cents a pack. Wow.
If
See,
you
I
would
don't
have,
know what they were when my sister would go in and pick them up for my mom. My sister would do that.
yeah.
And then they said, "Oh no, when they made it the 18, you had to be 18." And then my sister couldn't do it anymore.
My dad used to write me a note.
Yeah, my mom did that for my sister too.
Yeah.
Yeah, they did that too. I'm going, gosh, mom,
Well, I
go
remember
get your
my
own cigarettes.
I remember my dad buying a carton of Marlboros for like a little bit under $4 or $5 or something like that.
Whoa.
It's crazy, isn't it? To think
Yes, it
about
is.
like,
And you know, that's
yeah,
just another reason to get us all down. You know, take our money, kill us,
yeah.
make us broke, kill
I mean,
us.
the idea of money in the first place is depressing. Like number
It
one,
is.
right? We're born, right? And they gave away all the gold for all this paper, right? I didn't make that deal, right? Like why do I got
No,
to
I
live with
didn't
it,
make it either. Right?
right?
We didn't make it. They did.
Yeah. Yeah, and then it's like I mean you can base it off of dog poop. I guess it don't matter, right? It's garbage, right? Like this money is garbage.
It
And
is, though. It is.
and then I found
But
out the
we have to
banks,
have it
right?
to survive.
Well, the banks are allowed to lend us $12 for every $1 that they have. So they could just make up money that is not even real yet.
They do. And that's how they've gotten everything all messed up.
Yep, that's it. Insane.
It is.
I mean, they know that eventually it's going to pop, right? Like, I mean, it can't
But
work. It's just
it's meant to do that by
mathematically, right?
design. Yeah, but it's meant to do that by design. That's why they did that way. Well, that's why they've been working it ever since.
And that's another good like confirmation that it's the end times because like that alone is about to pop. They will
Absolutely.
change the money. There's no doubt about that. They have to change the money, and that's where that MOB comes into play, right?
Yep. See, oh gosh, it just scared the absolute living daylights out of me when I was a child. I did not even want to grow up because of it.
Yeah.
I went in, I seriously, when I was a teenager, went into a really weird depression because of that. I was like, crap, man. I don't want to go through it. And I'm not having any kids either. I don't want any kids to go through this, to have to deal with what's out there in the world. I don't want to have it. No, I'm not having any kids, but that's not what happened. It was my
Yeah.
plan. It's not what happened. Six
I think I
kids
got I,
later.
I think I got lucky, right? Like my mom always told me that I would get like cursed double for as bad as that was, right? And my kids ended up being like so good, right? And I probably would have had 12 if I could afford it. They were just probably the best thing in my life. I was the one that was pretty much crazy, but my mom always said, "Yeah, you're gonna get it back double." And
My mom
I
used to
never
say that
did.
too. You know, your kids are gonna do worse than you did me.
Yeah, that's what they keep saying. That's what my mom kept saying.
Well, that wasn't her exact words, the way she put it, but basically, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, so insane. Alrighty, well, it's time to hit that old dusty trail. But I would be interested in a part three if you want to come back in a couple days or whatever. Come
Yeah,
on.
we'll think about that. It's getting a
Okay,
little.
pray on it. Pray on it.
Yeah,
Stay on it.
Yeah, this was kind of abrupt. I wasn't really planning on doing this tonight, but it's cool. It worked out.
I'm glad the spirit hit you because this worked out great. I thought this
Yeah,
was much needed for
yeah.
sure.
If this stupid phone would quit cutting out, man.
I know it. I
I got to
know it.
make sure I've got good connection. That's just it. But it seems like this time of day, the breeze really comes
Yeah. It gave you a chance to be an
up
overcomer, right?
mountain, sort of.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's
thank you
really
for coming on.
breezy. Well, thank you. You guys
Yeah,
have a
God
good
bless
night.
you. Yes,
You
absolutely.
too.
Praise Jesus for his sacrifice and his grace. All glory to God because he deserves it. And please pray for the children out there. Pray for anyone being victimized and pray for each other. It's important. And if Lord willing, I will see you guys tomorrow at 7 a.m. California time.